Okay, not today. I have a headache. 2, 3, 4. Do 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 do. Ba da ba 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 bee. Stu do da ba ba da ba. It's ha ha he ha 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 hi. My name is Jimmy. I have a headache. Picks of the week. Ba da ba da ba da. Special guest appearance by Bag and Board. Hey, here's something. I don't think anybody out there will give a poop, but I don't know if you can tell. No, you can't really. I don't know how to explain it, but if you can see how this bottom corner is lower. Backing boards feel warped to me lately, and I think it must have something to do with just the air where I live. I can't think of any other thing. Anyway, it's really driving me nuts though. Okay, so I only really have one thing to show you guys this week because it was a pretty, it was like an average size week, but every single book is one that I've already talked about, and none of them were particularly some of them I'll repeat titles if there's an issue that it's like I'm particularly excited about, but none of that. But I did get this, The Resistance Volume 1 trade paperback from AWA, the upstart indie publisher that I've really been enjoying this last year. This is a book written by J. Michael Straczynski and drawn by Mike Deodato. Straczynski is a favorite of mine. He's not a writer that I will buy anything by, but if his name's on it, I go, okay, I'm in good hands. The main draw for me on this one is Mike Deodato. He's a Brazilian artist who's been killing it, I want to say, the last 20 years, I think. I mean, he might have broken into the industry in the 90s, and I just didn't start hearing about him until 20 years ago, but he's really good. And it occurred to me, because I kept seeing the house ads for this book and the other AWA comics I'm reading, and they didn't have all the single issues, so I just trade-weighted this down at the shop. What was I saying about Mike Deodato? Yeah, I had realized when I picked this up, I go, I haven't seen Deodato around much lately. Maybe this is going to be his thing. Because it does, and Straczynski, I don't think he's worked for Marvel for a little while either. And I think he left Marvel under some, I'm trying not to go 20 minutes this time. Straczynski left Marvel under something of a cloud, because I think he was writing Brand New Day, which was right after the Civil War in the Marvel Universe. They were trying to think of a way to give Spider-Man his secret identity back, because he had revealed to the world that he was Peter Parker. And Straczynski had a plan, which I'm not to this day sure exactly what he was going to do, but it was different from what they ended up doing, which was they made a deal with the devil. And then they went back, and then it became, that was One More Day, and then Brand New Day was what I think Quesada wrote, because Quesada had rewritten the end of, Joe Quesada was editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time, and he had rewritten One More Day, the ending. And Straczynski left in a huff. So I don't know, because AWA is run by Avi Arad, who was a pretty big, pretty high-placed executive at Marvel Comics and at the movie studio too, I believe. Maybe not at the same time, but he's a big deal. But he's kind of got two, and Deodato actually just left Marvel this year, and it doesn't appear to have been under angry circumstances at all. He's currently drawing Savage Avengers with Jason Aaron writing right now. I think that should be almost over. I've liked that book a lot, but and I don't know if it's just like kind of how the schedule with the pandemic threw everything off, but I don't know. It feels like it's lost some of its momentum. But from the quote I saw, Deodato loves Marvel. He had always dreamed of working for Marvel. He's worked for Marvel for a long time. He doesn't want to work for Marvel anymore. It's a completely, it's not that uncommon. That was Picks of the Week. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Now it's Picks last week. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Norse Mythology #1 from the Dark Horse Comics publisher. This was a lot of fun. And it wasn't all drawn by P. Craig Russell like I had thought. There's actually 3 stories. P. Craig Russell draws the first one. Mike Mignola draws the second. And Jerry Ordway draws the third. And so I'm kind of guessing this is probably also how the book is set up. Neil Gaiman wrote a nonfiction book called Norse Mythology. And I think he's just telling kind of the myths and fairy tales of the Norse pantheon in a kind of order, but, you know, mythology isn't really ordered. unless it's Marvel comics. And they're very ordered. But yeah, it was really good. And P. Craig Russell is doing the adaptation again, so this is very similar to the American Gods adaptation that he just wrote, except that he drew a piece of this, which is, god damn, I really missed his art. He's so good. He's very Art Nouveau, which was an aesthetic that was never a personal favorite of mine, but I was actually engaged to a young lady who was very into Art Nouveau, and so she kind of got me into it. Despite my best efforts, she got me into some things. I also only own a Pixies record because of that lady. No regrets. No regrets as far as the Pixies go. Also, last week I read American Ronin #1 by Peter Milligan and Aiko, who I meant to look up. And I think, maybe I did look up. This is also from AWA, speaking of which. I don't know if it's pronounced Aiko or Ako. It's ACO is this artist's name. I don't know if, no, right. I forgot that AWA is not the one that puts their little CV at the back. But the art was really good, but the main draw was, of course, Peter Milligan, whom I've been a big fan of, and he talks in the back matter a lot about, because American Ronin is a spiritual sort of successor to his run on DC's The Human Target, Vertigo's The Human Target, where this fella here is a future. It takes place in the not too distant future, and he's a masterless samurai, you know, of the day, and so, but he disguises himself to go kill other motherfuckers. I'm not supposed to swear that much on this one. Supposed to. Who's going to stop me? But yeah, it was really good. I don't really have much to add to it from there. Milligan stuff I've always found, and not unlike Grant Morrison or Alan Moore or any of those British guys, they read better together. So when I read single issues, it's great, but I always do kind of have... I have a better time remembering it if I read it in the trade. It's not going to stop me, but, I mean, it should. And then also I read Hellblazer, Rise and Fall. This was really good. It's been a while since I've read a good Hellblazer story. And I think I mentioned this last week. The last time I read Hellblazer with any kind of regularity was when Peter Milligan was writing it. Tom Taylor wrote this. It was really good. It was really nice to see Derek Robertson drawing again. And I'm sure I mentioned this. Derek Robertson was the original artist for The Boys. But he's co-creator with Garth Ennis. But I think all told, he drew the fewest issues of The Boys. I think between Snedgeberg and Russ Braun, that Robertson didn't draw as many. So seeing his art again, he takes forever. It's like kind of like Frank Whiteley. It's like that too. I probably mentioned all this last week, which is why I'm gonna shut up now. Picks up last week. So that's about it. I got to catch up on all my single issues this week, and wanted to start. I finally finished reading Inferno on Marvel Unlimited 2. And speaking of, I don't want to get on a whole rant here, but it's weird to me now how when I started reading comics, especially superhero comics, they were very soap opera-y, and there was always, you know, an A story and a B story, and one would kind of end and the other one was still going, so even though the main story ended, you want to read the next issue. Because back then, that was all they were just like, we just got to get you to the next one. We just got to keep getting you to the next one. And then all these British writers, like Milligan and Morrison and more, started writing more book-length stuff. And I think Watchmen was probably the first to really establish that that was a feasible way to do comic book storytelling. And now that's all it is. Every single issue I buy is now, it's not really just an issue of the Avengers, it's a chapter in a very, very, very long novel. And I don't really have a problem with that, but reading Inferno, it was like, reading it at first, I was reading it in order, but what I came to realize is that, for one thing, there is no official order on a lot of those older crossovers, but also that's not how they were made. You can't really read them in order. They just kind of, it's a little confusing until I remembered how to read comics when I was 11. That made my headache feel a little bit better. I don't want to talk to you still. I don't know why I made you so tall in this. Did you see that act out? Hey, buddy. All right, I'm going to go now. Oh, wait, I have to do the thing. Oh, yeah. Da 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 ma na na ma.